You talk about some of the dark money that flooded in, and it really was. I mean, so much dark money, millions of dollars, and a lot of it came from pro-Israel PACs, right? And that was some of the dark money that flooded in. This is in the news. Obviously, this Amnesty International report came out declaring Israel to be an apartheid state, and I saw that Representative Brown basically denied that that is the case and seems to be backing up what a lot of her donor money that helped her out in this race is in favor of. So can you talk a little bit about her statement and what your response is to that?
I mean, it is important to make sure that we understand that any dark money from any group, this money that people can donate, and you don't have to, you can't draw a connection to who is giving that money. It is important that we know what is happening as far as making sure that the 11th congressional district is taken care of. The needs of the 11th congressional district. The people in this country, the people in the great state of Ohio should take precedence over anything. And that's important as well. So any dark money group, whoever it is, that should not be allowed to be able to take hold and take over pretty much and just follow the money. I mean, you're laying it out. Not only that, I mean, there were other dark money groups that were involved in this race, but just look at the finance reports. Even the owner of the New England Patriots donated. He is an avowed Trumpite. Others donated. And there is a recent article that came out from the Cleveland Plain Dealer that lays out some of these people, from the Browns owners to others, donated to a PAC that put out racist literature against the new mayor in the city of Cleveland, Mayor Justin Bibb. And some of those same donors also donated to my number one opponent. So follow the money.
Yeah, so that gives you a sense of like what their actual agenda is, and
Jimmy Haslam is no Boy Scout,
and
let me say this: anti-blackness is a thing too, and so we got to understand that, and let's talk about that in a deep way. That is important, that we don't lose sight of a district that is a majority African American district, a district that was created because of people like Congressman Stokes. You know, that was a hard-fought district. As a matter of fact, Congressman Lewis Stokes was the first African-American congressman in the great state of Ohio. And to fast forward to 2021 and have other forces determine who would be elected because of the way that money flooded in, really, it should cause concern for any community.
And this isn't just a question of the candidate. When we talk about anti-blackness, we're talking about issue sets that are important to the Black community, and ones that are particularly pertinent to the Black community, and that's what we're really talking about too when we talk about that. And with that said, it's a good lead in. Your opponent last time, who's now a sitting congresswoman, just came out and 8 months ago, was saying, I'm not for Medicare for all. I'm for a public option, which, you know, is I don't know that you call it a half step. Maybe it's a quarter step, but it ultimately does not really take us where we need to go. It does not recognize healthcare as a right for everybody. She has now come out and co-sponsored the Medicare for all bill that Pramila Jayapal has introduced into the House this year. What's your sense of how relevant is that? I mean, you know, there's people want to have a vote on Medicare for all. I think there's very good arguments as to whether or not you have that when you know you're going to lose, because it's supposedly going to, you know, assess who's for it or not. But people can take a vote if they know it's not going anywhere. They can take that vote too,
or they can co-sponsor it, even if they don't necessarily believe in it. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So give us your sense of like, what's the difference? I mean, how, as a voter, I care about Medicare for all. Why would I vote for you over Chantel Brown if I care about Medicare for all?
Because there's a difference between co-signing on something and getting out there fighting for it, putting something on the line for it. And that is what I have been doing. And you don't have to be an elected official to say that you stand up for Medicare for all. So while I am delighted that people are seeing the light and that this person is following my lead and the lead of other progressives that have been on the front lines fighting for it. The difference is, are you going to fight for it, or are you just going to sign on to something because it is popular and you want to use it to leverage? Those are the differences. I have been fighting for Medicare for all, not just signing on to a bill. And also, Congresswoman Jayapal introduced that bill last year. This person could have signed on to that bill right away, but it's curious that she only signed on to the bill in February. I launched my candidacy in the latter part of January. So we'll see. But let me put it on the other side. We do want people to stand up and say Medicare for all is the right thing to do. But beyond that, are you going to fight for it? Are you going to put something on the line for it? So I'm really happy that she is following my lead.
And we should just say it's also a question, it seems to me, of, just the voters assessing the depth of sincerity. I mean, I think it's a good thing to have more sponsors for Medicare for all, but it's also, we had this dynamic in New York State when Cynthia Nixon ran. All of a sudden, Andrew Cuomo tacked to the left dramatically, and so I attribute a lot of some progressive policies under Cuomo to Governor Nixon. But I mean, it would have been better to have the real thing in there. So, how do you communicate that to the public when she has the ability to say, I co-sponsored this? How do you simply lay out like there's nothing behind that co-sponsoring?
Right. I mean, because in the debate, Jess, I'm old enough to remember what happened at the City Club debate, as you both laid out what the position was then, and now all of a sudden seeing the light. So seeing the light is a good thing. Is that seeing of the light sincere? Are they going to put something on the line for it? My record of fighting for Medicare for all definitely speaks for itself. So I'm just going to have those kinds of conversations, Sam. And again, though, if the progressive movement, what the policies that we are fighting for are not only popular, they are necessary. So to the extent that this movement is forcing people, especially those who are elected to office, to come further to the left is one step. That's a good thing. But I continue to say, are they going to put something on the line for it? There is a difference. And Greater Cleveland fighters, it's in our genes. It's everything about Greater Cleveland. The suffering there deserves somebody that's not just going to vote the right way or say the right things when it's popular to say those things, but somebody who is willing to make a sacrifice on behalf of the poor, the working poor, and the barely middle class. So I'm going to state my case, and I will always, also continue to say, welcome. The water is fine. I'm glad that you are seeing the light on this.